What's up, folks? What's up, folks? What's up, folks? My voice, it's gone. What am I going to do? What do you guys think? That's the cliff diving. I put it up on my wall, and some of you were thinking this happened on the way down. No, this happened on the way back up. Climbing out, slipped, got this, got this, got this. Yeah, a little tumble on the way back up. I took a week off. Can you tell? Canada Day week. Who needs a Canada Day or a Canada Day weekend? I took the whole week. Okay, today is acquisition content. The part that was released before the Immortal Content Bootcamp. The part that was released to the public. So I need to save my voice for tomorrow. The bootcamp resumes tomorrow, and we got 2 full days coming up. So this is the part that was released to the public. We had acquisition content homework. That looks like a bit of a black eye. Doesn't look like a cliff dive, does it? I swear it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's get to it. So I want to save my voice, number one. Number two, I don't have much to say live today because I'm taking the homework for the nurture content from the beginning of the Immortal Content Bootcamp. So it's a homework assignment. Oh my God, how does my voice sound? Is it bad? It's bad to me. It's really bad to me. It doesn't even sound like me. That's crazy. I'm not sick, but I am over way too much time off. I'm going to stick to the script here today because I got to save this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the acquisition content homework. I'm going to come back out, maybe narrate a bit. I'm going to watch it with you guys, and then I'm going to play the production of the acquisition content. Now, just to be clear, this is part two of a 2-part series. So the last webinar, the last Sunday webinar was part 1. We did skip a week in between, but the last webinar replay was part 1, acquisition content. That's what we use with a Facebook ad to bring people in. Can't really go through this today, but with a bit of resourcefulness, unless you're in Immortal Content Bootcamp, then you get the course for free. You can review the replay, but what we do is we advertise the acquisition content. There's acquisition and nurture content. We advertise the acquisition content or share it through groups. Extremely powerful to share through groups, especially if it's built the correct way. I'll talk about that at the end of this webinar. I have a little clip to show you. But the acquisition content brings people into your audience, captures them if they watch 3 seconds of your video. Once they watch 3 seconds of your video, they fall into your audience, and then once they're in there, then we show them 7 pieces of acquisition content in order for the people, your fans, your custom audience, to know, like, and trust you. And then we show them as CTA content, call to action, which either invites them to a webinar, gives them a sales offer, or adds them to your list, or you capture their actual email. So the CTA can be a call to action to pretty well anything. We use webinar invitations because in a webinar, super easy to convert, and there you have it. So today, the homework that I'm going to be sharing with you was the homework in the Immortal Bootcamp at the beginning. In the bootcamp, we go through it in more depth, but this is pretty straightforward actually. There is no editing to do. This is kind of when you go on a Facebook Live, you go on the fly, you have notes. What's important about nurture content is that you're addressing the problem that your audience may be having, number one. Then you're solving the problem. That's the lesson part of it. And then you do some story stitching, what we call it. That's your experience that relates to the solving of the problem. So you give the lesson, then you use a time in your life where you had that same problem and you use that lesson, but you say your story, your personal story. That's what connects people with you. And you're going to do that 7 times before you try to sell anything. That's enough of an intro. I was on here for 6 minutes. This will definitely be under an hour today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the actual homework. So my voice will be pretty darn good and there will be no scar, or I don't know if that'll scar. That will definitely scar. I've foregone the stitches. I decided to forego the stitches. So we'll see what happens. Yes, my perfect face is has been dented. Far from perfect, folks. Far from perfect. So right now, the nurture content homework assignment, I'm plugging that in right now, and I'll come back and I may summarize, and then we'll go into the actual filming production of it, okay? Here we go. Homework number 2 today is the big one. It's the nurture content. It's the big one, but in my opinion, it's the easiest one. So that's going to be the homework today. I'm going to film it from here. I'm not going to cut out. I didn't pre-film the content because nurture content, opposed to acquisition content, we will get into that in the bootcamp itself, but we're only going to create one acquisition content for you, which is the one we did in homework number 1. We're going to use that to bring people into your audience. Once people are in your audience, then we spit out 7 pieces of nurture content. Nurture content is more on the fly. Nurture content is kind of like what I'm doing right now. Let me grab a sip of coffee because this will be kind of chilled. Nurture content, I think, is the challenge for many newbies. It was a challenge for me because it's like going live, right? When you go live, you're just kind of chilling. You're just kind of, you correct yourself in the live. You guys understand the difference? Nurture content, you can actually have notes, and here we do. Here we do. We have notes. So usually nurture content is when you have your topic. I will give you guys a topic today for the homework. Already 4 minutes in. Look at this. Let me speed it up. But nurture content is you have your notes and you go live, or even if you don't go live, you have a very cash state, very casual. This is going to be your superpower with time. If you get good at just doing this nurture content, chilling out, being yourself, smiling. A lot of people don't smile. A lot of people don't smile, actually. Even famous people don't smile. I don't get it. Smiling is a good thing. I don't care how you slice it. Smiling is an amazing thing to do. Sometimes it's people are nervous. Again, these are not part of the tips. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to just do a nurture content right now. I'm going to explain what nurture content consists of. Now you're going to need to do 7 of these in the boot camp. But for this homework exercise, I will give you the topic. However, nurture content, here's where it becomes very important. Nurture content has 2 parts to it. In the acquisition content, you basically have just the lesson, the problem, the lesson, the solution, okay, with the question, the structure of the video, like we did in homework number 1. For nurture content, let me take a breath. I don't take many breaths. Oh, there we go. Let's turn this off. Perfect opportunity to turn this off in advance. All those bells and whistles. Nurture content has 2 parts. Number 1 is the lesson. And number 2 is your personal experience that has to do with the lesson. We call it story stitching. So the nurture content we'll create today for this homework is how to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. Super powerful piece of content, but here's why I chose this for today, is because many of you have been stuck. I think I get stuck every day. So you would have hopefully an experience of your own where you got unstuck by using what I'm about to teach. So let me sum it up real quick what the lesson is. How to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. Well, the lesson here would be number 1, find someone who is succeeding at what you're trying to do. Number 2 is observe what it is they're doing. Number 3 is replicate their actions, basically copy them. Number 4 is pivot and adjust while taking action. So that's the lesson. I think anyone could relate to that here today, right? Well, that is the solution, just in case you don't know. That's the solution. If you're trying to do something and it's not working, find someone who's successful at doing that thing and then replicate it, copy it basically. You'll need to pivot and adjust along the way because sometimes it's not obvious what they're doing. You have to kind of take many stabs at it. See, right now, this is what the content would be like. Now, here's the lesson part, the story stitching. This is the most powerful part. They're equally as powerful, okay, guys? Now, I don't mean to be teaching too much on this. We will have a whole day dedicated to nurture content in the bootcamp. But for the homework, give it your best shot, but you'll have to think of an experience that you've had where you used this. I have an experience. I won't tell you what it is right here. I'm going to save it for my content. Because you see the way I just did that, guys, just now? That's what nurture content basically is. You're chilling out with the people. You're being yourself. And the more you can do that, the more it becomes supernatural. It becomes so natural that it's just an everyday thing when you push record. And you have your notes. Another thing that's cool about nurture content is you can look at your notes. I always do. If you guys notice that. When I do a live, I always have my notes. I always look at them. It's about delivering the content, addressing the problem, solving the problem with the lesson, then saying, it reminds me of myself when I had this experience. Okay, this one time at band camp. I don't want to say that. I'm just having too much fun. This stuff is too much fun. So you guys get the gist of it, right? You will really get the gist of it as I do it. So what I'm going to do is, it's screenshot time. Now, you may have had my experience. You can use my experience if you don't have your own experience. But what I mean by that is your personal experience. But if you want to use this lesson, it's extremely useful. How to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. How often have you, let me just do the content, okay? And then after, I'm going to share with you guys the screenshot, okay? So let's do it on the fly. And that's what nurture content is. It's on the fly. So you don't have to feel so stressed out or pressure, because I'll mention this again, because you noticed yesterday or 2 days ago, homework number 1, for some of you, including myself, it's very hard to do because you're taking pauses, you're trying to get it bang on, you're trying to get the content right, you're repeating sentences. In nurture content, there are no cuts. You're just doing it all the way through. If you screw up, those of you who watch me, you know, when I screw up, I go, oh, that's wrong. I didn't mean that by that. What I meant was, so you're always correcting yourself. It's much more natural. And people will only get this if they know you. So that's why we call it nurture content. Here we go. 10 minutes to just ramble on about that. So you can imagine how long these bootcamp sessions will be with you guys asking questions as we go. So here we go. I'm going to just do the content now. What does Shane do? Shane, you got a little tap to know when the cut starts. Here we go. So nurture content. My topic is how to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. Watch, here we go. Okay, ready? I'm just gonna go like I'm doing it. And this is your homework. Ready? A sip of coffee. As a matter of fact, you can do that in the nurture content too. So here's how we're gonna do it. Just gonna go. Okay, there you have it. Okay, that's the homework. That's pretty well as much as you need for the homework steps. All nurture content uses the same system or the same framework. So the topic is get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. That's the topic in the homework. So what I'll do is I'm going to continue where we left off in the pre-recorded part, and you're going to see me do my thing, okay? Even if there's screw-ups throughout, as I just mentioned in the recording right now, you just roll with it, okay? It's like a Facebook Live or any kind of live video. People already know you at this point. They've seen you before, so you can kind of just chill out with them. Funny, as this webinar is going, even though it's a minimum talk, you hear my voice kind of going away, going away, going away. For some of you, it's like, right on, he's going to talk less. Well, you're not so lucky because I have these pre-recorded parts coming in. So right now, I'm going to actually do it. This is when I did it in the original homework. So here we go. Let's see what I came up with starting now. Okay, we're good. Hey guys, Marc Lalonde here. I got one question for you, one lesson for you. Do you ever feel stuck doing a strategy that's not working for you? You ever apply a strategy and you're stuck because it's not working and it seems to be working so well for others? Well guys, I got some notes here today. I'll share with you guys what I use, 4 steps that I use to get unstuck from a strategy that appears to be working for others but isn't working for me. I'm going to share with you guys a real life situation. So, how to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. So the first thing you got to do, the first thing I always do, is find someone who is succeeding at what I'm trying to do. Tony Robbins calls this role modeling. Why would you reinvent the wheel, right? I'm basically copying other people all the time, including the leaders on my board here. So number 1, find someone who's succeeding at what you're trying to do. Number 2, observe what they're doing. I call it gently stalking them. I do. I'm not just going to look at find someone that has the thing working that I'm trying to do. I'm actually going to observe it for a while and pick up on pretty much what they're doing, try to identify what it is they're doing that I can copy. And then I'm going to go to step number 3, which is replicate their actions. I do this with most of my leaders, guys. And then once you've done that, you won't necessarily identify the problem, or you won't necessarily succeed immediately, because you have to kind of pivot and adjust as you're copying them, because you won't know exactly how they're how they're using their strategy. You'll just know the strategy that you can see. You won't really know what's going on in the background. So I'm going to share with you guys how I use this all the time, but I'm going to share with you guys a very specific instance of when I use this, and it fixed it like you wouldn't believe. It 100x'd my results just by observing someone who was succeeding. And what I wanted to do, finding them, first of all, finding them, observing what they were doing, replicating what they were doing, and pivoting and adjusting while taking massive action. I cracked the code. So here was my problem, guys. My problem was, see, I do network marketing as well. So network marketing is like direct sales. I was having trouble recruiting people for my team. This is a while back, but it stuck with me because this is where this lesson really stuck with me about finding someone who's succeeding. So I couldn't recruit people in my business. I did approach everyone I know. I did approach all my friends. I did all that stuff, but I could not, well, I don't want to go through that. I could not attack the cold market. When I say attack, I use that lightly. I could not recruit people in the cold market. However, there were people in my company that I was with, it was a wellness company, who were crushing it. So what did I do? I found someone who is succeeding at what I'm doing. So what I did is I found a top earner in my company. I don't think I'm going to say the name right now because it's an older company. It's a Body by Visalis. There was someone crushing it in my company and recruiting personally all the time, multiple people per day from his cold market. So what did I do? I found them, number one, then observe what they're doing, number two. I looked at their timeline on their social media and I noticed they were not pitching the product. They weren't even posting the product on their walls. What they were doing is they were putting value videos in the weight loss niche. That's what I noticed. There was no product pitches whatsoever, just value videos. As a matter of fact, the specific video was how to lose 1 pound a day. Some of you may have heard me say this before. This is the first time I stumbled onto the personal branding world without really noticing I was stumbling onto the personal branding world. But it was a video of him teaching people how to lose 1 pound of body fat per day for the first 7 days, resulting in a 7 pound in the first week fat loss. So I noticed that video. So what did I do? Number three, I replicated their actions. I made my own video in my niche, which was the same niche because I was in the same company. As a matter of fact, I pretty well copied the video, but with myself. So now I found someone who was succeeding. I observed what they were doing. I replicated their actions. Okay, you with me so far? Those are the first three. Number four, that was the tricky one. It's pivot and adjust while taking action. So this is when you're going to find out how that can translate into recruits. So with me, by just posting these value videos, here's the solution I came to, which still works today, by the way, if you're having trouble recruiting and you are in some kind of network marketing company. All I did was I reached out to all who liked and commented on my value videos. That's all I did. They would watch my value video, they would say excellent tip, and even the people who would like. So if they would like it or if they would comment on it, I would reach out to them and just open up conversation. And I was recruiting every day personally after that. So how did I do that? Let's reiterate. How to get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. I was approaching my friends and family. That was not working. So what did I do? Number one, find someone who is succeeding in what you're trying to do. I found the top earner in my company. Number two, observe what they're doing. I observed what they were doing. I looked at their timeline and noticed no product pitches. They were putting up value videos. Number three, I replicated their actions. I made my own videos in the exact same way that that top earner did. Number four, pivot and adjust while taking action. I reached out to everyone who liked and commented on my video. I started recruiting daily. So I hope these 4 steps help you. Number one, find someone who's succeeding in what you're trying to do. Number two, observe what they are doing. Number three, replicate their actions. Number four, pivot and adjust while taking action. And that's sure to help you get unstuck from a strategy that's not working. Marc Lalonde, tuning off, and have a great day. Okay, pretty simple, right? That's it. There is no editing to do. There is no raw version and edited version in nurture content. That's all you have. So these are the 7 pieces of nurture content you need to do if you're going to use the Immortal content formula. And even if you're not, I put an ad to one of my nurture content videos throughout this boot camp, I'm really forcing my voice now. I will not be speaking after this webinar today, I promise you that. I will be in shape for tomorrow because we're doing the Facebook ads. But I took a nurture content, guys, just one nurture content, and I shared it into a few groups. I got it from 0 views to, I believe, about almost 1,000 views for free, just by sharing in a few groups. Because anyone who watches that video for 3 seconds, they get captured and they're in your audience. You own them forever. It's pretty crazy. So in a custom audience, you don't see how many you have until you break 1,000. So I got up to 1,500 after all was said and done for free. Pretty cool, right? I did share throughout about 75, 85 groups. So, but I didn't do them all in one day. I took day one, shared through a certain amount of groups, Facebook groups. That's all I did. That's all I did. So when I got past 1,000, I could see the number of audience members. And then, once I did that, this is just on a piece of nurture content, exactly like you would have created if you did this homework. From there, I put an ad up. I targeted to network marketing, the network marketing niche, because personal branding is extremely useful for people in network marketing. So I did that, and for 50 bucks, I got up to over 8,000 views. Yeah, and that translates to, I believe, 7,500 audience members. I don't know if you guys remember in part 1 of this 2-part series, the last webinar, check out the webinar replays. Part 1 is creating acquisition content. That's the last one. This one is create nurture content, 2 parts. In part 1, I mentioned that if you have 10,000 people in your audience, that's enough to make you a millionaire. It is over time, just nurturing them, nurturing them, nurturing them 7 times in a row. I'll say it again. And then dropping the call to action. You'll always be filling your webinar on a consistent basis. I could go through a lot more details, but that's enough for today because it's all about teaching you how to do the nurture content. God, I haven't been doing this for over a week. I feel like I am new at it. Now, the reason I got such high conversions is because I took the video that you guys just saw and I put it in a frame, kind of like a wrapper, where the captions show for the first minute or so, maybe 2 minutes. So I have captions showing at the bottom because 85% of people do not turn up the volume. So they're going to scroll down your feed. You're going to scroll down their feed if you're advertising, and they're not even going to click you. And in order for it to count as a view, a 3-second view, for you to capture them, they must click on your video, okay? They got to turn the volume up. They got to click on that video. So in order to do that, you have to put it's better to make a couple of tips. It's better to make a square video. It takes up more real estate. You want to have a enticing title at the top, in the big banner at the top, and you want to have captions at the bottom, but captions that only run for maybe 1 minute. Why do you want to do that? Because if you have captions throughout, people are just going to watch your video and not click it. You need them to click it in order to capture them. So when the captions stop after a minute, if you got their attention, then the captions stop. We replace the captions with emojis. Then they're like, well, I want to keep listening to what this person has to say because they've piqued my interest. Make sense? If it doesn't, let me plug in that little beginning of what it looks like in a video wrapper, and maybe you'll understand, because that will explain why I was able to get 7,500, maybe 8,000 audience members now. After everything I've told you, share in groups up to over 1,000. Once you break 1,000, put an ad up for about 47, 48 bucks. For about 50 bucks, you'll hit your 10,000. The reason this is happening and this is working is because I have this wrapper. So let's take a look at that now and I'll be right out. I'll share with you guys what I use, 4 steps that I use to get unstuck from a strategy that appears to be working for others but isn't working for me. I'm going to share with you guys a real life situation. Hey guys, Marc Lalonde here. I got one question for you, one lesson for you. Do you ever feel stuck doing a strategy that's not working for you? You ever apply a strategy and you're stuck because it's not? See how that works, guys? See how that worked, right? The wrapper. Now this is something I will be teaching in the bootcamp on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we're placing the ads, all the Facebook ads. On Tuesday, I'm going to show you how to wrap it up like that. I'll do one from scratch. And this is what makes people click it. Make sense? So there you have it. Those of you who are not in the bootcamp, you can get resourceful, but it's that important to get the captions in the beginning. The emojis, that's debatable, but emojis work. All the pros use it, and since I added emojis, they just stick around and watch more of it. Does it have to do with why they're sticking around? I don't know, but the pros are doing it, and I add emojis. I don't know the psychology of why they stick around, but most people are watching more than 50% of my videos. I capture those people in a separate audience, but we don't even get that far in the bootcamp. Right now, we just want to fill your custom audience. There you have it. Who's going to create some nurture content? I know my bootcamp people have been kicking butt. It's insane. There are literally hundreds of videos back there, if not 1,000 videos. Maybe 3, 4, maybe 500. They keep coming in, guys. My students in the Immortal Bootcamp were assigned to create 7 nurture videos, just like you were taught today. So there you have it. Create a nurture video. And if you're not doing the 7-to-1, 7 nurture videos and 1 CTA, at least put 1 nurture video out there. Do what I explained. Share it in groups from your business page. Set the 3-second rule, which is an engagement post pointing to your you audience. Seems like a lot. That's a newly created audience you're going to create. Seems like a lot if you're not in the bootcamp, but what can I do? I can't really explain it all here. And that's the gist of it. Start building that custom audience, and that's like a list. It's better than a list. Okay? So we broke the hour by far. It's a record-breaking webinar, but it's a homework assignment. This is the part that was made available to the public, and you're getting it in today's webinar. So now I will rest my voice. Those of you in the Immortal Content Bootcamp, tomorrow we start placing those Facebook ads. We start having a real fun. Is this where the rubber meets the road? No. The rubber met the road when we started building your custom audience. Now we're going to turn that into money, okay? By placing ads to all your nurture content videos and then inviting them to the CTA video. And oh my God, I got to rest a little more. This week's been insane. I want to ramble on about the weekend, but in a nutshell, it started with a lot of fireworks. Then it was cottage life, a little bit of cliff diving, a lot of campfire singing, as you can tell. And here we have it. We're back at work. We're going hard. Get that nurture content done. If you're in the bootcamp, look at day number 4. That's when I create 3 pieces of nurture content in detail. I'm also going to include the notes for this piece of nurture content in the webinar replay. So I will leave you with this. Have an amazing Sunday, guys. And for those of you in the bootcamp, I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. The registration link for tomorrow night will be in the Immortal Content group. Okay, guys, have an amazing Sunday. And I'll see you guys on social media as I rest this voice with some tea and honey. Love you all. Bye-bye now.